I'm gonna just I'll leave this here for a second. Welcome back to BG Game Preview. I'm your host Lucy Eisenbarth, and this week was a great one in both college football and high school football. We're gonna unpack all of that and look to Garrigan's homecoming. Before we do that, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the Instagram for BG Game Preview to stay updated on all the uploads and everything going on with this channel. Starting off, let's recap the Golden Bears' win at Riceville this week. Garrigan won 52-0, and Garrigan's offense started off really hot in this game, scoring 30 points and shutting Riceville out in the first quarter. They shut Riceville out the entire game, but the score was 30-0 after the end of the first. Comparing the stat line side of it, quarterback Tate Birch threw for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also led the rushing this week with 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had identical stat lines for both. Leading the wide receivers is Michael Joyce with 4 receptions, 465 yards, and 1 of the 2 touchdowns thrown by Tate Birch. Garrigan's entire rushing this week was very well done. 273 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. Comparing that to Riceville's stat line this week, Riceville quarterback Asher Elbert threw for 70 yards and 0 touchdowns. The leading rusher for Riceville was Henry Schroeder with 3 attempts on 21 yards and no touchdowns. And leading the receivers was Chance Christensen with 5 catches for 52 yards. All in all, Garrigan's defense really did their part in this game, completely shut down the run. They had 20 rushing attempts for 40 yards, and for receiving, they had 8 receptions for 70 yards. The Riceville offense really struggled this week due to that great Garrigan defense, and offense took advantage of that, scoring 52 points. I was unable to go to the game due to schedule conflictions, and I was also not able to watch it earlier with being busy. So what I am saying is based off of the stats and off of what I heard from other people who were able to go to the game or did watch it. It seemed that Riceville's special teams did really struggle in this game. I believe that they fumbled the kickoff immediately, and Garrigan recovered it at the 10-yard line and was able to capitalize off of that. Like I had said earlier, when comparing Riceville's offensive stats to Garrigan's, it seemed that the Garrigan defense really shut them out this week, and that they did. Garrigan ended up with 3 sacks and 3 interceptions. Riceville's defense did really struggle this week, but they did come up with 1 interception on the night. A great win for Garrigan, leading them to 2-0 going into homecoming week. Riceville will start the season 0-2. My final score prediction for this game was 48-14 Garrigan. I was only off on Garrigan's score by 4 points. Kingsley Pearson's, I was off by 14 as the Garrigan defense was able to shut them out. That's all about Garrigan's win. Very quickly, I want to recap the Iowa State game, as that is something I talked about in my last video. Iowa State coming up with the win, 16-13 in Ames, to go back-to-back in Cyhawk. There's been a trend for the last 5 years where the road team wins the Cyhawk Trophy, and Iowa State has broken that streak this year. It's also the first time since, I believe, 2011 that Iowa State has won the Cyhawk at home. Going into the stat line side of things, Rocco Becht with 134 yards and 1 touchdown compared to Mark Gronowski's 83 yards and 0 touchdowns with 1 interception. Comparing rushing was big for Iowa, but it could not do enough. I do not know how to say this. I believe it's Jajuan Patterson. Correct me if I'm wrong, I apologize. Had 11 carries for 60 yards and 0 touchdowns. Mark Gronowski got a rushing touchdown in the game. He also rushed for 37 yards. And the third was Xavier Williams with 26 yards and no touchdowns. Leading rusher for Iowa State was Abu Sama III with 47 yards and 0 touchdowns, followed by Carson Hansen with 46. This was a very big defensive game, so these offensive stats are not as high as they usually are compared to like Iowa State's win last week where they scored 55 points or Iowa's win last week where they scored 35. Moving over to receiving, Brett Eskildon led the team for Iowa State with receiving with 39 yards and 0 touchdowns. Both tight ends got touchdowns this week. Ben Bramer with 2, and I believe Gabe Burkle had 1. I could be wrong, though. I know Gabe Burkle had some really big catches towards the end of the game. I'm not sure if he had a touchdown. I know for a fact Benjamin Bramer had 2. Leading Iowa's receiving is Jacob Gill with 52 yards and 0 touchdowns. I do not believe Iowa had any, yes, they had 0 passing touchdowns. Earlier, defense was a huge part of this game, so let's compare some defensive line stats. Iowa State ended up with 3 sacks on the day, got through the Iowa offensive line, and got to Mark Gronowski. Iowa came up with 0 sacks, a very rare occurrence for the Iowa defense. Iowa State's offensive line was able to hold strong and true, and Iowa State was able to get this done. Iowa didn't come up with any interceptions either, and Iowa State came up with 1. Jeremiah Cooper got an interception in the second quarter, I believe. All in all, a very, very entertaining game with a final score of 13-16. I had the right scoring margins. I believe my final score prediction was 27-24. Iowa State still winning. So I had the winner right and the amount of points we would win by right. I just thought that there would be more defensive mistakes and offensives would be able to provide more. Very, very good win for Iowa State to start 3-0 and 2-0 at home. Iowa will start 1-1. Just remember, this is a Cyclone state for the second year in a row. As a Cyclone fan, I do have to flex that a little bit. But all in all, it is a great rivalry, and I enjoy it a lot. With this, let's look over at Garrigan's opponent for homecoming week. Garrigan, for their homecoming, will play the North Iowa Bison. So let's get into some stat lines about this team. North Iowa is 0-2 right now, with their 2 losses coming from Harris Lake Park, 29-24, and North Union, 54-0. North Union is a very good team, and they will be tough in the district this year. Harris Lake Park, it was a closer game. Looking over at the stat line side of things, their quarterback, Taylon Jacobson Jr., has thrown for 147 yards and 4 touchdowns on the year. He's also the leading rusher with 72 yards. This seems to be a very pass-heavy offense, which is kind of rare for 8-man. There are a couple of teams that do it very well, such as the Woodbine Tigers and some others. Their leading receiver is junior Braden Gray with 60 yards and 1 touchdown. Overall, the team has 100 rushing yards and 0 rushing touchdowns, and the receivers have obviously 147 yards, and all 4 of the touchdowns scored in their games have come from passing. Their defense seems to be struggling a little this season, as they've only recovered 1 fumble and 0 interceptions. This, as well as letting up lots of points to teams like North Union, and even letting up 29 points to Harris Lake Park, even though that game was close, and the offense was making up for it. So, what's going to happen this week? Well, I think that Garrigan's offense is going to take an opportunity on this North Iowa defense and is going to run up the score very greatly. Garrigan obviously won't run up the score past a certain amount, but I think that they will come out of the gates hot and score a majority of their points in the first and second quarters. I think this Garrigan defense will also be able to shut out their quarterback and stop the run like they have done versus Kingsley Pearson and Riceville now. North Iowa is also walking into a very loud environment with it being homecoming week for the Golden Bears. My final score prediction for this game is Garrigan 65, North Iowa 0. I think that Garrigan offense will run up the score a lot, and by the third or fourth quarter have their second strings in, and they will continue to score and continue to shut down North Iowa. It is really just a bad situation for North Iowa coming into a game that everyone's hyped for. It's homecoming week, everyone's excited, and just with their past struggles in their 2 losses on the year. All in all, I think homecoming week for Garrigan is going to be good this year. I think this game will end up being good, and Garrigan will get the win on their homecoming night. with that being said, this is the end of this week's BG game preview. So it's a lot shorter of a video compared to last week's, as there were less games I was predicting, less stats I was breaking down, etc. But I do want to start doing short form content on this channel. The short form content would go up on YouTube and Instagram. I also do not know when this video is going up, as I will be busy with homecoming festivities, as I am in high school this year, but I will get it out as soon as I possibly can. With that being said, this is the end of BG Game Preview. I'm your host, Lucy Eisenbarth, signing off. Happy homecoming!